follows me on Facebook. I don't know what's going on. All right, I'm back on YouTube and LinkedIn. I can't go live on Facebook. So tell everybody there on Facebook to come to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Oh Lord. But this is an example of persevering and pressing through. Because I'm gonna tell you, it just be something sometimes when you're in business. When technology just don't want to technologize. Um, what was the point I was making? Contracting types, contract vehicles was where I left off at. There are times when the government chooses contract vehicles based upon risk. There are other times when the government chooses contracting vehicles just because it goes best with the work. Um, most construction contracts that I've seen in the government have either been fixed price or T&O. I said all that to say this. You have to have your pricing straight. You have to have your pricing tight if you want to see a profit. And keep in mind, everything in government contracting is subject to audit. So your record keeping has to be on point. Your rationale for choosing, and you want to stick with a base when you're choosing your rate. And if you switch bases other than the RFP is telling you, or the agency that you wish to work with is telling you to do so for that particular project, you don't want to switch bases willy nilly. And I know I just said something that somebody said, "What in the world is she talking about?" Let me talk. Let me back up to come forward. Good morning, Nam. When you're developing, rates, a rate is basically a percentage. That is the cost of something over the cost of something. And I'm being vague because I'm not about to go into the weeds of how to develop rates on a live, because when like I said, it's a little entailed, because if you're doing a GNA base, GNA rate, GNAs have different types of bases, or you have the option of using different types of bases. T- TCI, which is total cost input. You can do labor, which is obvious what labor is. Or you can do Department of Transportation prefers labor, obviously, because Department of Transportation has a lot of construction projects. So they prefer labor bases for their projects. So I said all that to say this, and I'm using that as an example of, you don't want to flip flop bases. You want to choose one and keep it, perform an analysis, and keep going. I don't know, I'm all over the place this morning, but I am getting somewhere with where I'm going. When you're doing your yearly strategic planning for your business and government contracting, and I'm getting back to business in a minute, but I want to stay on government contracting because that's where I started this. One of the decisions you will make is what base for your rate you're going to choose. And you're going to document the base that you're choosing for your GNA, your overhead, and why. And it could just be as simple as You do a lot of work with one agency and that is their preferred rate. And for your simplicity, for the sake of simplicity, that is the rate you're choosing. Or it could be just as simple as that is all you know. And both answers are fine. Both answers are okay. It's when you're going to choose to change your basis. And you know what? I never realized I never came on camera over here in this live. Good morning, everybody. It's when you choose to change that base that you have to start documenting that you're choosing the base and provide a rationale. That's when the government wants to know, why did you choose, why the rationale, why the difference. Now to come back over to the business side. In order to make any of those decisions, you have to have proper record keeping. So, whether you're a government contractor or not, having proper systems, keeping proper records is important. Okay, you would wait till I take my glasses off. I've never got this type of structured training in business or government contracting. That's because most of the people doing the training don't know what they're talking about. They're just repeating what somebody else said, or they're telling you their bad habits. A lot of these government contracting experts aren't experts, but that's another conversation for another time. Let me stay on topic. Otherwise, I'm going to go on a tangent. And I don't mind the tangents. I'm just telling you what I've noticed. A lot of these experts, I even trolled a live yesterday. I didn't troll, I was observing a live yesterday. Then I'm going to get back on point. And somebody reminded me where I left off at. She had the nerve to try to train people on the difference between an RFP and RFI and all that stuff on a TikTok live. This is how you know people don't know what they're doing. You can't teach all of that on a live. I can go over it, I can review it, but to do a deep dive, in depth teaching so that people walk away with real knowledge, no, not on a TikTok live. And you know why? Because I can't turn my camera on a screen and just show you a PowerPoint and all I did was talk about RFP, RFI, RFQ. I can give you some basics, but I would need to pull you into a class and I would need to be in an atmosphere where you can ask questions and I can respond to the questions and where I can gauge the room. That's difficult to do on the TikTok live. It's difficult to gauge the room on a live like this because I'm not getting real time feedback. So, yeah, no, that's why you don't get the deep dive training. And could you imagine what you get when you pay me? And I'm still go there. I'm gonna still go here. I'm giving away stuff that most people pay for. It's just that this isn't what I charge for, so I give it away for free. Now this is what I this isn't my core, and what I've discovered over the years is people who want to work with me don't have the core down. So it makes working with me difficult. So I'm like, they need to get their business basics together. Most people who want to go into government contracting don't even have a business, which is why I said, Chatter has to focus on business and contracting because if they don't have their business together, hire the government contractors. Everybody wants $1 million contract, but you don't want to invest in an accounting system. Your app is cute, but your app is not an accounting system. And I mean to hurt feelings this morning. It's cute, but it's not an accounting system. Once upon a time, you could get away with spreadsheets. If your spreadsheet comes from an accounting system, okay. But no. And I apologize for starting late this morning, but quite frankly, I got up late. And we all know government contracting, being late is not what you do. But this morning, I woke up and then I went back to sleep and I overslept. Now I apologize for being late. However, government contractors, people, even those who are established businesses seeking to go into government contracting, okay, you know your industry, but the rules change when you go into government contracting. There is a slight difference when you enter into government contracting. Some of the things that you can do in the B2B space doesn't work in the B2G space. There are federal rules that tell you can't do it. When you're developing those rates that I was telling you about, when you go into the federal space, those costs cannot appear in your rates. Because guess what? The government says it won't pay for alcohol. Those are unallowable costs. So they cannot go into computation of the rates that the government applies for. Did you not know that there are some contracts that will not allow for the claiming of some costs? Now, people want to say, but the IRS pays for travel, but your contract doesn't. So that makes it an unallowable cost. You have to learn the difference between unallowable, unbillable costs. And your accounting system has to be set up to capture those costs, identify those costs, segregate those costs so that the government is assured that you recognize those costs and not charging them for those costs. That's the point of a compliance person. That's why you need me. Because if you're charging the government for things that they're not supposed to be charged for, and when they come around, and they eventually will, that's why when you're registering SAMs, you're assigned a cage code because that cage code um, assigns you to a DCAA office. And whether DCAA, which is the Defense Contract Audit Agency, whether they audit you or you're audited by a different auditor, it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to eventually knock on your door and want to audit you. Somebody is going to go knocking on your door and say, hello, I'm here because you have a government contract and we want to see if you're adhering to the rules and regulations of those contracts. And my question to you is, are you? I have a podcast episode that speaks about, are you audit ready? And a lot of people want to glance over, and look around that whole episode, but honey, it's important. Are you audit ready? And whether it's DCAA, GAO, IRS, whomever, when you're audit ready, you can stand in assurance that you have it. And I'm sorry, you have it. And there's just this thing that you can pass the audit with ease. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. When you can pass an audit, excuse me, when you can pass an audit, You are eligible and making yourself eligible for larger government contracts. Everybody wants to work with the infamous Department of Transportation. However, you don't want to do what it takes to become DOD ready. Hey, Patty. But it all goes back to, is your business a business? Is your business viable? Is your business properly set up? Do you have policies and procedures? Is Can somebody walk into your business, pick up a document, pull up a document and carry on, or is everything in your head? And if everything is in your head, what happens when you get sick? What happens what happens to the continuity of your business if anything happens to you? Does your business stop running? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I suggest you take time and put some things in place that your business doesn't stop if you stop. How are you scaling in government contracting or scaling in business, period, if the business stops being a business when you stop? Somebody should be able to, if you get sick, somebody in your family should be able to pick up something that says, this is how and run with your business. Somebody, I'm going to go here. In the eventuality, this is called event, it's estate planning. In the eventuality of your passing, what happens to your business? This is all a part of the plan. What happens to your business? I'm going to go here. What document says who gets your business? And if it isn't in writing, how do they take over your business? And if it isn't in writing, the people you have contracts with are not obligated to do business with them. Your bank isn't obligated to give them access to those accounts. All of this stuff has to be in writing. There should be something in writing. There should be an operations plan. Then there should be there should be a whole lot of things. A plan that says, in the eventuality that I am incapable of running my business, and you make it hard. And I'm gonna go here. And like, I live in North Carolina, and this is what I found out for the state of North Carolina. If you die in North Carolina without a will, they hold up everything for 6 months to a year. And that's if you don't have a business. So imagine what they do if you do have a business. We have to stop thinking word of mouth, and because somebody is related to me, they automatically get it. And then I'm going to take it a little bit higher. Your business has contracts. Your business have clients. Your business has customers. Your customers have assurances and should never even know, other than the fact that your website says that you passed. So there should be some kind of continuity. So your kids take over your business. They don't know how you conduct business. They don't know that you put a personalized note in with every package. Your kids don't know that you host a yearly dinner. I'm just using this as an example. Host a yearly big dinner for your clients. They don't know when it's time to renew the contract that you send the contract renewal notice out 30 days in advance with two options. They don't know this. How would they know unless you have all that in writing? That's your policies and procedures. But if all of that is in your head and not in writing, how is somebody supposed to pick up the mantle? We walk through life assuming somebody else is just going to know by osmosis and think our businesses are going to be okay. And they're not. Now, translate that into government contracting. Honey, if you don't have that stuff in writing, your government contracts stop. Because legally, who takes over? Who sits in the seat of the CEO? There needs to be a document that says, on the passing of Luciana, my daughter sits in the seat of the CEO. My son becomes the CFO, and we continue on. If there's nothing that says that, then the company ceases to exist. There's a power vacuum. So then the contracts are sitting in the great beyond. What will the government do? The government will then say, this company doesn't exist anymore, and then have to rebid those contracts. Well, if the government is going to do that, what do you think your other clients will do? Nobody likes chaos. We have to start. One of the things that a business, I don't know how he titles himself, a mentor, coach. I don't know how he titles himself. But one of the things he says that is so spot on. We have to change our mindsets in business. And we need to stop having a consumer mindset and start having a business mindset. And that business mindset includes continuity plans. It's not the assumption of, well, I assume everybody is going to know, and don't assume that. A business mind or entrepreneurial mind says, I need to have all this stuff written out. We need to know who's going to do what in the event of you go in the hospital, your whole company shuts down. Your family is busy fighting over who's in charge of the business, where if you wrote it down, they would know. More legacies are destroyed because there's no clear line of action than for any other reason. Now, I also intended today to be a Q&A day. So if anybody have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. If I need clarity, then we can go from there. But I also intended today's live to be a Q&A live. So drop your questions in the chat. I also cover a lot of this in my book, Keys to Government Contracting. And although the book says Keys to Government Contracting, I cover a lot of things that will just get you a basic start in business. Maybe I need to rename the book The Keys to Business. But the subtitle is How to Establish a Scalable Government Contracting Company. So, I don't know. Maybe I need to rename the book. It's okay, Patty. Just sit down and think about it. Even if you just write down a few lines initially of what you want to think about. Because the detective agency is very needed. People are trying to find stuff every day that can't be found. So I'm gonna say this. I'm like, mm, oh wow. I'm going to say this. There are 5 points that I think everybody should know and understand about business in general, but especially if you're going into government contracting. You need to understand your industry. Understanding your industry means understanding the rules of the industry. Every industry has its own rules. There are general business rules, and then there are industry rules. You need to understand that and respect it. You have to understand what it takes to create your organization. What type of organization are you trying to create? And I believe a lot of businesses fail because people don't understand what they're creating. I'm going to say that again. A lot of businesses fail because they don't understand what they're creating. They're creating what they think they should be creating versus creating what they want to create. What is your vision for your business? Because everybody doesn't want a 500-person business. You may want just a true family business. And then what happens in the eventuality that your kids grow up and don't want to go into the business? You need to have all of that mapped out. And that needs to be in writing as well. I'm going to go here. People laughed at me because I have in my will that if my children, and I wrote my will when my kids were two, one or two. I have in my will that if my children do not want my business, that my business is to be sold and the proceeds be put into a trust. And when I told certain people that, they were like, girl, your business isn't worth that, ain't worth that to you. I know my vision. I see, I knew where I was going. I had a vision for my business, and I built a plan around my vision. See, people think the vision is the plan. No, the vision is what made you say, I wanted to start a business. The plan is what brings your vision to reality. A lot of you want to go into government contracting and you haven't put a plan around your vision. And with that, I'm going to tell you, if you haven't made a plan, if you haven't had a continuity plan, if I've said anything on this live this morning that made you say, oh, I need to do some reevaluating and some evaluating, I suggest you take some time today or maybe an hour or two tomorrow or sometime this weekend and study this. When you want help doing this, I offer consultations that will help you walk through all of this. I do not offer free consultations, but I do offer consultations. You can click the link in my bio that will take you to my calendar. Clubhouse, I need to update that link. And when you come out of the consultation, you will come out with a framework to get you on the road to building the business that you desire. And for those of you who have the business, for going down the road of government contracting. So I'm going to close out this live with this. Have an amazing weekend, and remember, a stressed mind can't create. So I don't want anybody to walk away from this live stressed. Don't do that, because then you can't create the fullness of your vision. Don't do that. Just take the information I gave you today and say, I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that. And then come back to it and say, I need to put all these things in action. And on that note, oh wow, have an amazing day.